The rhythmic beeping of hospital monitors filled the crisp autumn air as a German shepherd sat motionless outside room 342 of Pine Valley Memorial Hospital. His deep brown eyes never wavered from the door, and his powerful frame blocked the hallway as if standing guard. For 3 days and nights, he refused to move, accepting water only when the night shift nurses brought it to him. The staff whispered about him, wondering what invisible thread bound this magnificent animal to this place. But Nurse Emily Parker knew there was more to this story than met the eye, much more. And it all began on that fateful, misty morning that changed everything. Before we dive into this extraordinary tale of loyalty and love, take a moment to hit subscribe and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more incredible stories like this one. The morning shift at Pine Valley Memorial had started like any other for Emily Parker. The familiar scent of antiseptic filled the air as she made her rounds, checking on patients while autumn rain tapped gently against the windows. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and dark circles under her eyes hinted at another long night shift. But today would be different. Today would be the day that shattered her routine and challenged everything she thought she knew about healing, hope, and the unbreakable bonds between humans and animals. The first sign that something was amiss came at exactly 6:47 a.m. Emily was updating charts at the nurses' station when Maria Ramirez, the receptionist, came running down the hallway, her face pale with concern. "Emily, you need to see this." The urgency in Maria's voice made Emily's heart skip a beat. Following her colleague to the hospital's main entrance, Emily stopped dead in her tracks. There, in the soft glow of dawn, sat a German shepherd. His fur was wet from the morning mist, and his eyes held an intelligence that seemed almost human, but it wasn't his presence alone that caused Emily's breath to catch in her throat. It was what lay at his feet, a worn leather wallet, a set of keys, and a hospital ID badge belonging to someone named Anna Mitchell. Dr. David Chen appeared beside Emily, his usual composed demeanor showing cracks of concern. "That's Anna's stuff," he said quietly, recognition flickering across his features. "She was supposed to start her residency here 3 days ago. Never showed up." The German shepherd watched them intently, and when Emily took a tentative step forward, he stood up, grabbed the wallet gently in his mouth and walked deliberately toward the elevator. Then he stopped, turned around, and fixed them with a stare that seemed to say, "Follow me." Emily exchanged glances with Dr. Chen. In her 15 years of nursing, she'd never encountered anything quite like this. The dog's behavior wasn't random. It was purposeful, almost desperate, as if he was trying to tell them something crucial, something urgent. "Call security," Dr. Chen instructed Maria, who was still frozen in place, "and get Detective Sullivan on the line. Something's not right here." Emily felt a chill run down her spine that had nothing to do with the morning air. As she watched the German shepherd waiting patiently by the elevator, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a mystery that would consume her life for the next several weeks. Sam Cooper, the hospital's head of security, arrived minutes later, slightly out of breath. The German shepherd hadn't moved from his spot, the wallet still carefully held in his mouth. When Sam reached for the wallet, the dog allowed him to take it, but immediately turned and padded toward the elevator again, this time pressing his nose against the button for the 3rd floor. "That's impossible," Dr. Chen muttered. "How does he know?" But Emily was already moving. Something in the dog's demeanor, the urgency in his actions, sparked a memory of her own. A night 5 years ago when instinct had led her to check on a patient just in time to prevent a catastrophic outcome. Sometimes, she'd learned, you had to trust the signs the universe sent you, no matter how strange they might seem. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding, and the German shepherd stepped inside, looking expectantly at the humans. Emily didn't hesitate. She stepped in beside him, followed by Dr. Chen and Sam. As they ascended to the third floor, Emily noticed something she hadn't before. A small tag on the dog's collar, partially obscured by mud. She leaned closer, trying to make out the engraved text. But before she could read it, the elevator doors opened. The third floor housed the hospital's long-term care unit. At this early hour, the hallway was quiet, except for the soft whirring of medical equipment and the distant murmur of the night shift preparing to hand over to the day staff. The German Shepherd moved with purpose, leading them past room after room until he stopped at 342. Emily's heart began to race. Room 342 had been empty for days, scheduled for maintenance after a water leak the previous week. Or at least, it was supposed to be empty. The dog sat down, in front of the door, his eyes fixed on Emily with an intensity that made her hands tremble as she reached for the handle. The door was locked. "Sam," she said quietly, and the security guard stepped forward with his master key. As the lock clicked open, the German Shepherd's ears perked up and a low whine escaped his throat. Nothing could have prepared Emily for what they found inside. The room was dark, but even in the dim light filtering through the closed blinds, they could make out a figure huddled in the corner. A young woman in scrubs, her dark hair matted to her face, her body shivering despite the room's warmth. The German Shepherd bounded forward, pressing himself against the woman's side as she lifted her head, revealing a face marked by exhaustion and fear. "Anna Mitchell," Dr. Chen breathed. Reaching for the light switch, the fluorescent lights flickered on, revealing the full scene. Anna's scrubs were torn and dirty, and an angry bruise bloomed across her cheekbone. But she was alive, and as the German Shepherd nuzzled her face, tears began streaming down her cheeks. "Zeus," she whispered, burying her face in the dog's fur. "You found help. You actually found help." Emily was already moving, her nursing instincts kicking in as she checked Anna's vital signs. "Get a trauma team up here," she ordered, and Dr. Chen was immediately on his phone. "Anna, can you tell us what happened?" But before Anna could answer, her eyes widened in terror, focusing on something behind them. Emily turned just in time to see a shadow disappear from the doorway, followed by the sound of running footsteps. "Stop him!" Anna cried out, her voice hoarse. "He'll get away!" Sam took off down the hallway, but Zeus remained planted firmly by Anna's side, his body tense and protective. Emily noticed now that his fur wasn't just wet from the morning mist. There were traces of blood matted in his coat. Detective Mark Sullivan arrived 20 minutes later, his sharp eyes taking in every detail of the scene as Anna was carefully transferred to a gurney. Zeus followed every movement, never more than a few feet from his owner. The dog's dedication was extraordinary, but Emily could see he was exhausted, his powerful frame trembling slightly with fatigue. "He's been watching over her this whole time," Emily realized aloud. "That's why he brought us her things. He was trying to lead us to her." Detective Sullivan nodded, his expression grim as he studied the room. "The question is, who locked her in here and why? This hospital has security cameras everywhere. Nobody should have been able to." He trailed off as Dr. Chen emerged from the trauma room where they'd taken Anna. "She's stable," the doctor reported, "but she's been through hell. Dehydrated, minor injuries, and..." He lowered his voice. "Signs of restraint. Someone kept her here against her will." Emily felt sick to her stomach. How could this happen? In her hospital. She looked at Zeus, who had finally allowed himself to lie down by the trauma room door, though his eyes remained alert. Despite his exhaustion, he was still on guard, still protecting. As the morning shift began in earnest, and news of the discovery spread through the hospital, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Zeus had brought them more than just his owner. He'd brought them a mystery that would unravel the calm facade of Pine Valley Memorial and expose secrets that someone had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. The German Shepherd's refusal to leave his post would become legendary in the hospital halls, but only Emily and a select few others would come to understand the true depth of his devotion and the dark conspiracy his loyalty would help uncover. If you want to know what happens next in this extraordinary tale of courage and dedication, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Part 2 of this incredible story is coming soon, and trust me, you won't believe where this mystery leads. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed an amazing act of animal loyalty? We'd love to hear your stories. Stay tuned for the next part of this unforgettable journey. The autumn wind whistled through Pine Valley Memorial's parking garage as Detective Mark Sullivan reviewed the security footage for the 4th time. The grainy images showed Anna Mitchell entering the hospital 3 days ago, clipboard in hand, ready to start her first day as a resident. She looked confident, excited even. Then, at exactly 5:42 a.m., she disappeared from view in a blind spot between cameras on the 3rd floor. Zeus appeared in the footage 2 hours later. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Frantically searching the hospital corridors, only to be escorted out by security, but he kept coming back day after day. Emily Parker stood behind Sullivan, watching the footage while absently stroking Zeus's fur. The German Shepherd hadn't left the hospital since they'd found Anna, maintaining his vigil outside her new room in the secure wing. His loyalty had earned him unofficial staff status. The cafeteria workers even kept a special bowl of water and approved dog food for him. There, Sullivan pointed to the screen. Watch the maintenance worker in the background. The figure moved with an unnatural awareness of the camera angles, staying just out of clear view. He knows the blind spots. Emily leaned closer, her breath catching as she recognized something. That cart! It's from the old wing. We haven't used those since the renovation last spring. She turned to Zeus, who had perked up at her tone. A voice, someone who knows the hospital's layout, someone with access. Sullivan pulled out his phone, quickly dialing his partner. Kate, check employee records for the maintenance department. Focus on anyone who worked here before the renovation. He paused, listening. And get me everything you can on Thomas Wright, the new head of maintenance. Something about his employment dates isn't adding up. The investigation room fell silent, except for the soft whir of the computer fan and Zeus's steady breathing. Emily's mind raced through her memories of the past few months. Small details that hadn't seemed significant before suddenly took on new meaning. Missing supplies, doors found unlocked that should have been secured, strange noises in the old wing late at night. Dr. Chen mentioned Anna was specifically recruited for the residency program, Emily said slowly. She has a background in pharmaceutical research. Could that be relevant? Sullivan's eyes narrowed. What kind of research? I'm not sure, but Emily was interrupted by Zeus, suddenly standing at attention, a low growl rumbling in his throat. Through the window, they could see a figure hurrying across the parking garage toward a service entrance. Thomas Wright, moving with suspicious urgency. Stay here, Sullivan ordered, already moving toward the door. But Zeus was faster, bolting past the detective and down the hallway. Emily's heart raced as she followed, her shoes squeaking on the polished floor. The German Shepherd's powerful form disappeared around a corner, his nails clicking on the tiles. Wright had a head start, but Zeus was driven by something more powerful than fear, pure, unwavering devotion to protecting his owner. The maintenance head burst through the service entrance, but Zeus was closing the gap. Emily and Sullivan emerged into the parking garage just in time to see the German Shepherd leap, catching Wright's sleeve in his teeth. The man went down hard, files scattering across the concrete. Emily gasped as she saw what spilled out. Medical records, research documents, and most damning of all, Anna's original ID badge photo with notes scribbled in the margins. Sullivan had his handcuffs out in seconds. "Thomas Wright, you're under arrest." As he secured the suspect, Emily gathered the scattered papers, her hands trembling as she began to understand the scope of what they'd uncovered. Zeus stood guard, his posture rigid, eyes fixed on Wright. The man's face was a mask of anger and something else, fear. "You don't understand," he spat. "She was going to ruin everything, years of work, millions in research." Emily's attention was caught by a document detailing unauthorized drug trials. "Detective," she called, holding up the paper, "this goes beyond Anna. They've been using the old wing for illegal experiments." Sullivan cursed under his breath as he read over her shoulder. A whole underground operation, right under everyone's noses. And Anna's research background meant she might have recognized what was happening. Zeus whined softly, turning toward the hospital. His behavior had changed. The urgency was different now. Emily had learned to trust the dog's instincts. "Something's wrong," she said. "He knows something's wrong." They rushed back inside, leaving Wright with the arriving police officers. Zeus led them not to Anna's room, but to the old wing, an area that was supposedly closed for renovation. The dog's pace quickened as they approached a heavy door marked "Maintenance Only." Sullivan drew his weapon while Emily used her master key card. The door swung open to reveal a sight that made her blood run cold. The abandoned wing was anything but empty. State-of-the-art lab equipment hummed quietly in rooms that should have been gutted. Charts and computers displayed data from trials that had never been approved. "This is why they targeted Anna," Emily whispered. She would have recognized these protocols, known they weren't legitimate. Zeus pressed forward, leading them deeper into the converted wing. His nose worked overtime, tracking a scent that only he could detect. They passed room after room of evidence, each one damning proof of an operation that had corrupted the very heart of Pine Valley, Memorial. In the last room, they found Dr. Laura Bennett, the pediatric specialist, hurriedly destroying files. She froze when they entered, her face draining of color. "You don't understand," she echoed Wright's words. "The traditional trials take too long. People are dying while bureaucrats debate ethics. We're saving lives by experimenting on unsuspecting patients." Sullivan's voice was hard. "By attacking innocent residents who might expose you," Zeus growled, causing Bennett to step back. Emily noticed a familiar scent in the air, the same antiseptic used on Anna when they found her. The dog had made the connection before any of them. It wasn't just right, Emily realized. You were involved in Anna's abduction. That's why Zeus reacts to you. He remembers your scent from that day. Bennett's professional demeanor cracked. She was going to expose everything, years of progress, breakthrough treatments. We couldn't let her destroy all that. Right. We're supposed to keep her sedated until we could figure out what to do, but that damn dog. She glared at Zeus. We couldn't risk moving her with him patrolling the halls. He knew exactly where she was the whole time. Sullivan moved to arrest Bennett, but she had one more card to play. The trials are still running, she said with a cold smile. Right now, there are patients in this hospital receiving our experimental treatments. Stop us, and you're condemning them. Emily felt her world tilt. How many patients? How long had this been going on? Zeus pressed against her leg, his solid presence grounding her as her mind raced through possibilities. We'll find them, she said firmly, and we'll help them the right way. That's what this hospital is supposed to be about, healing people with dignity, not treating them like lab rats. As Bennett was led away in handcuffs, Emily knelt beside Zeus, wrapping her arms around his thick neck. You knew, she whispered. You knew something was deeply wrong here, and you never gave up. The German shepherd licked her cheek once, then turned toward the door. His job wasn't finished. Anna still needed him. They made their way back to the secure wing, where Anna was recovering. Zeus resumed his post outside her door, but something had changed. The tension in his body had eased slightly, as if he knew the immediate threat had passed. Yet he remained vigilant, his loyalty undiminished. Detective Sullivan spent hours coordinating with hospital administration and ethics committees, beginning the massive task of identifying all patients who had been unknowingly enrolled in the illegal trials. Emily stayed late into the night, helping to review files and ensure current patients were receiving proper approved treatments. Throughout it all, Zeus remained a steady presence, his unwavering dedication to Anna inspiring everyone who witnessed it. Hospital staff began leaving small gifts for him, treats, toys, even a proper bed beside Anna's door. But the German Shepherd only accepted the basics, his focus never straying from his mission to protect. As midnight approached, Emily took a break from the files to check on Anna. The young resident was sleeping peacefully, her bruises beginning to fade. Zeus lifted his head as Emily approached, his intelligent eyes meeting hers with what seemed like understanding. "You're teaching us all something about loyalty," she told him softly. "About never giving up on what matters, no matter how hard things get." Zeus's tail thumped once against the floor and Emily smiled. The investigation was far from over. There were still more questions than answers about the full scope of the illegal trials. But thanks to one dedicated German Shepherd, the truth was finally coming to light. Outside, the autumn rain continued to fall, washing away the last traces of summer. But inside Pine Valley Memorial, a different kind of cleansing was beginning. The darkness that had taken root in its halls was being exposed, and at the heart of it all was a dog who refused to leave, refused to give up, and in doing so had saved more lives than anyone could have imagined. Emily looked at the stack of files still waiting to be reviewed, then back at Zeus. The night ahead would be long, but she drew strength from his example. Some battles were worth fighting, no matter the cost. And sometimes the greatest heroes walked on four legs, their hearts pure and their loyalty absolute. The night shift settled into its routine, but nothing would ever be quite the same at Pine Valley Memorial. The German Shepherd who refused to leave had set in motion changes that would ripple through the hospital for years to come, touching lives in ways that were only beginning to become clear. Zeus rested his head on his paws, but his eyes remained alert, watching over Anna as she slept. In the quiet hours before dawn, his dedication would inspire countless conversations, among staff and patients alike, reminding everyone who witnessed it that true loyalty knows no bounds and that sometimes the most powerful force for good comes in unexpected forms. Dawn painted the Pine Valley Memorial Hospital windows in shades of amber as Emily Parker sorted through another box of patient records. Her fingers trembled with exhaustion as she uncovered more disturbing details about the illegal drug trials. Zeus lay nearby, his chin resting on Anna's bed while she slept. The young resident's recovery was steady, but the emotional scars ran deep. Emily paused her work when she noticed Zeus's ears perk up. Seconds later, the door opened quietly, revealing Detective Sullivan with fresh coffee and an evidence bag. Dark circles under his eyes suggested he'd been up all night too. "Found something at Wright's apartment," he said, keeping his voice low to avoid waking Anna. "You need to see this." The evidence bag contained a worn notebook, its pages filled with precise handwriting and chemical formulas. But it was the photograph tucked inside that caught Emily's attention. A group shot from 5 years ago, showing Wright, Dr. Bennett, and several other doctors standing in front of a different hospital. Pine Grove Medical Center. "Pine Grove," Emily whispered, recognition dawning. "That's the hospital that shut down after those unexplained patient deaths." She looked at Sullivan, whose grim expression confirmed her suspicions. They were running. Trials there too, weren't they? Zeus had risen to his feet, sensing the tension in the room. He moved closer to Emily, pressing against her leg as she flipped through the notebook's pages. The German shepherd's instincts had been right from the start. This conspiracy ran deeper than anyone had imagined. Sullivan nodded toward the door, and Emily followed him into the hallway where they could talk without disturbing Anna. Pine Grove was just the beginning, he explained. When things went wrong there, they didn't stop. They just got more careful, moved their operation here, refined their methods. Emily's mind raced through implications. The renovation of the old wing. It wasn't just about updating the facilities. They needed a controlled space, somewhere they could operate without scrutiny. She glanced back at Zeus, who had positioned himself in the doorway, maintaining visual contact with both Anna and them. That's why they panicked when Anna arrived. With her background, she might have recognized equipment from Pine Grove. The detective pulled out his phone, showing her a series of text messages recovered from Wright's device. The exchanges were coded, but certain phrases stood out. Project Phoenix continues, and new site shows promise. They're planning to move again, Emily realized, her heart sinking. Now that we've exposed them here, they'll try to restart somewhere else. Zeus's low growl drew their attention. Down the hallway, Dr. Richard Moore, the hospital administrator, was approaching with two men in suits. Emily recognized one as a member of the hospital board, but the other was a stranger whose presence seemed to agitate Zeus. Ms. Parker, detective. Moore's voice was strained. This is Mr. Harrison from the Pharmaceutical Oversight Committee. He's here to assist with the investigation. The stranger stepped forward, his expensive suit and polished manner marking him as an executive. But there was something else about him that set Emily's nerves on edge. Zeus clearly felt it too. His posture had shifted to alert, protective. We'll be taking over the review of all trial-related materials, Harrison announced smoothly. Standard procedure in cases like this. We'll need everything you've collected so far. Sullivan's hand moved subtly closer to his weapon. Everything we've collected is evidence in an active criminal investigation. We'll be maintaining chain of custody. Harrison's pleasant expression didn't waver, but his eyes hardened. I'm afraid you don't understand. This is a matter of corporate intellectual property now. My committee has full authority to... He was interrupted by Zeus's sharp bark. The German shepherd had moved to stand between Harrison and Anna's door, his message clear. No one was getting past him. Emily studied Harrison more closely, noting how he kept his right hand in his pocket, how his eyes darted to the emergency exits. A horrible suspicion began to form. Detective, she said quietly, check the Pharmaceutical Committee's employee records. I don't think Mr. Harrison is who he claims to be. The next few moments exploded in chaos. Harrison pulled his hand from his pocket, revealing not a weapon but a syringe. He lunged toward Anna's room, but Zeus was faster. The German shepherd's powerful jaws clamped around Harrison's arm, sending the syringe skittering across the floor. Sullivan had his gun drawn in an instant, while Dr. Moore and the board member stumbled back in shock. Hospital security responded to the commotion, and within minutes, Harrison was in handcuffs. He's not from any oversight committee, Sullivan confirmed after running his credentials. James Harrison was one of the lead researchers at Pine Grove. He's been wanted for questioning about those deaths for years. Emily knelt beside Zeus, checking him for injuries while her mind processed this latest development. The German shepherd seemed unharmed, his focus already back on Anna, who had woken during the chaos. They're desperate now, Sullivan continued. With Wright and Bennett in custody, Harrison must have been sent to clean up loose ends. He looked at Emily meaningfully. You and Anna need protection. Both of you know too much. Zeus growled softly, as if saying he had that covered. Emily smiled, despite the gravity of the situation. I think we have the best protection right here. As security led Harrison away, Emily noticed something had fallen from his pocket during the struggle. A key card for a storage facility across town. Sullivan bagged it as evidence, but they both knew what it meant. There were more records out there, more proof of the trials and their victims. The morning shift began arriving, and the hospital stirred to life. News of Harrison's attempt and Zeus's intervention spread quickly through the staff. The German Shepherd's legend grew, but he remained unchanged by the attention, focused solely on his duty to protect. Emily spent the morning helping Sullivan coordinate with a task force specifically assembled to investigate the drug trial conspiracy. They set up a secure command center in an unused conference room, where they began mapping connections between Pine Grove, Pine Valley Memorial, and other possible sites. Zeus alternated between guarding Anna and patrolling the command center, his presence a reminder of what had led them to this point. His unwavering dedication had not only saved Anna, but had helped expose a criminal enterprise that had cost countless lives. As Emily pinned another document to their evidence board, she noticed a pattern emerging. The trials hadn't been random experiments. They were building towards something specific, something the researchers believed would revolutionize medicine. But at what cost? They were looking for a shortcut, Anna said softly from her wheelchair. She had insisted on helping with the investigation, despite her ongoing recovery. A way to bypass years of proper trials and testing. I saw enough in that lab to understand their goal. They wanted to fast-track new treatments, regardless of the risks. Zeus pressed his head against Anna's hand as she spoke, offering comfort. The young resident had been through trauma, but her determination to help stop those responsible gave her strength. The question is, Sullivan mused, studying their evidence board, how many other hospitals are involved? How far does this network extend? Emily's phone buzzed with a message from Dr. Chen. He had been reviewing admission records, looking for patterns that might identify patients who had been unknowingly enrolled in the trials. His text was urgent. Found something. Meet me in the records room. Bring Sullivan. Zeus followed as they made their way to the basement records room. The old filing system had been partially digitized during the renovation, but years of paper. Records still filled the shelves. Dr. Chen was waiting for them, surrounded by open files. Look at these admission dates, he said without preamble, pointing to a series of charts. Every third Thursday, like clockwork, patients transferred in from other hospitals, all with similar profiles. Perfect candidates for experimental treatments. Emily felt sick as she realized the implications. They were selecting patients deliberately, moving them between hospitals to avoid detection. Zeus's ears suddenly pricked forward, and he moved toward one of the shelves, nose working. Emily had learned to trust his instincts. Following him, she found a section of wall that seemed different from the rest. Sullivan ran his hands along the surface until he found a seam. The hidden door opened to reveal a small room filled with servers, a separate system completely isolated from the hospital's main network. Their own private database, Sullivan breathed. Everything they didn't want on official records. As tech experts were called in to secure and analyze the servers, Emily watched Zeus return to Anna's side. The German Shepherd's discovery had given them the evidence they needed to track every patient, every illegal trial, every connection in this dark network. But the day's revelations had taken their toll. Anna was exhausted, and even Zeus showed signs of fatigue. Emily insisted they both rest, while Sullivan coordinated with his task force. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new attempts by those still hidden to protect their secrets. The autumn. Sun was setting as Emily made one final check on Anna before heading home. Zeus lay beside the bed, alert despite his tiredness. His dedication humbled her, reminded her why she had become a nurse, to protect, to heal, to stand guard over those who needed help. "Get some rest," she told him softly. "You've done more than enough today." Zeus's tail thumped once against the floor, but his posture made it clear he would maintain his vigil through the night. Some bonds went beyond explanation, beyond ordinary loyalty. The German shepherd's unwavering devotion had not only saved lives but had set in motion events that would bring justice to countless victims. As Emily left the hospital, the weight of everything they'd discovered sat heavy on her shoulders, but she also felt hope. With Zeus's help, they were uncovering the truth, piece by piece. And somehow, she knew the faithful German shepherd would continue to guide them, protecting not just Anna, but all those who needed a guardian in their darkest hours. Midnight cast long shadows through Pine Valley Memorial's corridors as Emily Parker examined the contents of the hidden server room. The gentle hum of computers filled the air while Zeus kept watch at the door, his ears alert to every sound in the darkened hallway. The German shepherd's vigilance hadn't wavered, even as exhaustion began to show in his movements. Detective Sullivan's team had spent hours copying data from the servers, uncovering a network of corruption that stretched across multiple hospitals. But it was a single email thread that now held Emily's attention. Messages between Harrison and an unnamed recipient discussing something called Protocol Omega. The technical language was dense, but certain phrases jumped out: unprecedented regeneration rates, accelerated healing, and most disturbing, acceptable casualty threshold. Emily's hands trembled as she scrolled through the documents, each revelation worse than the last. Zeus's sudden growl broke her concentration. Footsteps approached from the direction of the pharmacy, too quick and purposeful for the normal night shift routine. Emily switched off her screen just as Dr. Laura Bennett's replacement, Dr. Sarah Matthews, appeared in the doorway. The new doctor's arrival had seemed fortunate. She had the exact expertise needed to help identify patients who had been unknowingly enrolled in trials. Perhaps too fortunate. "Emily, I thought I heard voices down here," Matthews said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Zeus's growl deepened, his body tensing as he positioned himself between Emily and the doctor. "Just reviewing some files." Emily kept her voice casual while her mind raced. Zeus had never reacted this way to any other staff member. The German shepherd's instincts had proven unerring so far. Matthews took a step forward, but Zeus wouldn't let her enter the room. "That dog seems rather aggressive," she observed, her hand slipping into her lab coat pocket. "Perhaps he should be removed from the hospital, for safety reasons, of course." Emily's fingers found her phone, sending a pre-arranged signal to Sullivan. "Zeus stays," she said firmly. "He's earned his place here." The doctor's pleasant demeanor cracked slightly. "You don't understand what's at stake," she said, her voice hardening. "Protocol Omega could save millions of lives, a few sacrifices for the greater good." "Like the sacrifices at Pine Grove?" Emily challenged, pieces falling into place. "How long have you been part of this, Dr. Matthews? Or is that even your real name?" Matthews, or whoever she was, pulled her hand from her pocket. Instead of a weapon, she held a small device that looked like a key fob. "Last chance," she warned. "Walk away from this investigation. Forget what you've seen." Zeus's bark echoed through the basement as security officers responded to Sullivan's alert. Matthews pressed the device's button, and suddenly alarms blared throughout the hospital. "Fire in the pharmacy," the automated system announced. "Evacuate immediately." Chaos erupted as staff began emergency protocols. Matthews turned to flee, but found her path blocked by Zeus, his teeth bared in warning. Security officers arrived moments later, quickly subduing her. "Dr. Sarah Matthews doesn't exist," Sullivan announced after running her fingerprints. "She's Dr. Elizabeth Collins, another researcher from Pine Grove. She's been working with Harrison all along." Emily rushed to check the pharmacy, Zeus at her heels. The fire alarm had been a diversion, but Collins had managed to delete data from several hospital systems before being caught. Thankfully, the hidden servers remained secure. As the false alarm was cleared and the hospital settled, Emily noticed Zeus's attention drawn to a section of shelving. The German shepherd pawed at the floor, whining softly. Sullivan helped her move the heavy unit, revealing another hidden panel. Inside, they found a laptop and several notebooks. Collins had been maintaining her own records, detailed accounts of every trial, every patient, every result. But it was the final entry that made Emily's blood run cold. Protocol Omega isn't just about fast-tracking drug trials, she realized, reading the notes. They're developing something bigger, something they think will revolutionize medicine itself. Sullivan leaned in to examine the documents. Look at these formulas. They're attempting to create some kind of universal healing accelerant, something that could speed up recovery from any injury or illness. But the human body isn't meant to heal that quickly, Emily protested. The strain on the system, the potential for mutation. She trailed off, remembering the phrase, acceptable casualty threshold. Zeus pressed against her leg, offering comfort as the full scope of the conspiracy became clear. These people had convinced themselves that the end justified any means, that sacrificing a few lives to potentially save millions was acceptable. The night deepened as Emily and Sullivan coordinated with federal authorities. Zeus maintained his vigil, dividing his attention between Anna's room and the command center. They'd established his energy seemed inexhaustible when it came to protecting those in his care. Around 3 a.m, Anna woke from a nightmare, crying out in terror. Zeus was by her side instantly, his presence calming her as Emily rushed to check on them. The young resident clutched the German shepherd's fur, drawing strength from his steady presence. I remembered something, Anna said once she'd caught her breath. The night they took me. I overheard Wright and Bennett talking about a backup site. Something about an abandoned medical center in River's Edge. Sullivan immediately began, making calls, mobilizing teams to investigate. Emily stayed with Anna, watching as Zeus settled into his protective position by the bed. The German shepherd's dedication had not only saved Anna's life, but was now helping them unravel a conspiracy that threatened countless others. Dawn approached, painting the hospital windows in pale light as Emily reviewed Collins's notebooks. Each page revealed more about Protocol Omega and its terrible cost. The researchers had started with noble intentions, finding ways to help patients recover faster, suffer less. But ambition and greed had corrupted those goals, leading them down a dark path. Zeus's ears suddenly perked up, and he moved to the door, his posture alert but not aggressive. Moments later, Dr. Chen appeared with coffee and a troubled expression. We've been cross-referencing patient records, he said, setting down the cups. The pattern goes back further than we thought. Similar trials were conducted at 3 other hospitals before Pine Grove, always under renovation projects, always with unexplained patient deaths. Emily felt a chill despite the coffee's warmth. How many patients? Hundreds, Chen answered grimly. Maybe more. They covered their tracks well, but there are always patterns if you know where to look. Zeus whined softly, pressing his head against Emily's hand. The German shepherd's empathy was remarkable. He seemed to sense the weight of each new discovery, offering comfort when it was needed most. Sullivan returned from River's Edge, looking exhausted but determined. The site was cleared out, but they left traces. Equipment manifests, shipping records. We've got new leads on possible locations. As they added the information to their evidence board, Emily noticed Zeus's attention drawn to the hospital's main entrance. The German shepherd's behavior had changed. Not aggressive, but intensely focused. Through the glass doors, they could See reporters gathering, drawn by leaked information about the investigation. Among them stood a woman who seemed different from the others. Her press badge identified her as Catherine Martinez, but Zeus's reaction suggested there was more to her story. "Run her credentials," Emily suggested to Sullivan. The detective made a quick call, then nodded grimly. Catherine Martinez died 2 years ago. Someone's using her identity. Zeus remained focused on the woman, who was now photographing the hospital's security camera locations with suspicious thoroughness. Sullivan dispatched officers to question her, but she disappeared into the crowd before they could reach her. Another operative. Emily sighed. How many more are out there? The answer came sooner than expected, as Emily reviewed more files. From Colin's laptop, she discovered a list of names: doctors, administrators, and researchers at hospitals across the country, all potentially involved in Protocol Omega. It's not just a few rogue researchers, she realized. It's an entire network. They've infiltrated hospitals everywhere, using renovations and modernization projects as cover for their trials. Zeus barked suddenly, drawing their attention to Anna's room. The young resident had managed to access some of the encrypted files on Colin's laptop, her pharmaceutical background helping her decipher the technical data. The formula they're working on, Anna explained, her voice shaking. It's not just about healing. They're trying to create something that can rewrite human DNA, force the body to repair itself at an accelerated rate. The applications could be extraordinary, but the risks... She trailed off, her face pale. Those who died in the trials, Emily finished, their bodies couldn't handle the acceleration. They literally burned out from the inside. Zeus moved, closer to Anna, offering silent support as she processed the horror of what she'd uncovered. The German Shepherd's protective instincts had led them to this truth, but now they faced an even greater challenge: stopping Protocol Omega before more lives were lost. As morning shift staff began arriving, Emily watched Zeus maintain his vigilant guard. The German Shepherd's unwavering dedication remained their inspiration, a reminder that some battles were worth any cost. His loyalty had not only saved Anna, but had set in motion events that could save countless others. The sun rose over Pine Valley Memorial, marking another day in their ongoing fight. Zeus's presence remained constant, a guardian not just of Anna, but of truth itself. His refusal to leave, to give up, had exposed a darkness that had hidden too long in medicine's shadows. And as Emily prepared for another day of investigation, she knew that as long as Zeus stood watch, hope remained for justice to prevail. Morning mist clung to the windows of Pine Valley Memorial as Emily Parker studied surveillance footage from the hospital's loading dock. The grainy images showed a series of late-night deliveries over the past 6 months, equipment and supplies that never appeared in official records. Zeus lay at her feet, his ears twitching at every sound from the hallway, while his eyes remained fixed on Anna's room across the corridor. A soft knock drew their attention. Detective Sullivan entered, holding a thick manila envelope. "Federal Task Force just sent this over," he said, spreading crime scene photos across the desk. Similar equipment found at 3 other hospitals, all linked to companies that don't exist. Emily's attention caught on one particular image, a modified MRI machine with additional components she'd never seen before. Zeus rose and moved closer, his nose working as he examined the photographs. The German Shepherd's behavior had become more focused since they'd discovered Protocol Omega's true nature. They're not just running trials anymore, Emily realized. Noting the sophisticated modifications, they're preparing for something bigger, full-scale implementation. The sound of rushing footsteps interrupted their discussion. Dr. Chen burst into the room, his usually calm demeanor shaken. "You need to see this," he said, pulling up a medical database on the computer. "I've been tracking unusual recovery patterns across different hospitals. Look at these cases. The screen filled with patient files. People who had recovered from severe injuries or illnesses at inexplicable rates. Each case was carefully documented as a medical miracle, but a pattern emerged. All had received treatment at facilities connected to their investigation. "They're already using it," Emily whispered, horror dawning. "Protocol Omega isn't just experimental anymore. They're testing it on actual patients without their knowledge." Zeus's growl drew their attention. To the doorway, a young intern stood there, pale-faced and trembling. I overheard Dr. Dr. Collins, talking before she was arrested," she stammered. "There's a meeting tonight. Something about final phase activation." Sullivan immediately began mobilizing his team, but Emily's focus was drawn to Zeus. The German shepherd's posture had changed, his attention locked on something through the window. Following his gaze, she spotted a familiar face in the parking lot. The fake reporter, Catherine Martinez, speaking urgently into a phone. "She's back," Emily noted, reaching for her own phone to alert security. But Zeus was already moving, his powerful frame tense with purpose. He padded silently down the hallway, tracking something only he could sense. Emily and Sullivan followed, watching as Zeus led them to the hospital's service entrance. The door was slightly ajar. Someone had disabled the alarm. Inside, they found fresh scuff marks on the floor, leading toward the basement. "They're using the old tunnel system," Sullivan realized. "The ones from when this was a military hospital during World War II. Zeus pressed forward, his nose working overtime as they descended into the dimly lit tunnels. The air grew thick with dust and the musty scent of aged concrete. Their flashlight beams revealed branching corridors that hadn't seen use in decades. The German shepherd moved with certainty, guiding them through the maze. Ahead they could hear voices echoing off the curved walls. Zeus slowed, his movements becoming more cautious as they approached a section where the tunnel widened into a former storage area. Through a partially open door, they could see several figures gathered around sophisticated computer equipment. Catherine Martinez, or whoever she really was, stood at a central console, speaking to others via video conference. "Phase 1 validation is complete," she was saying. "Success rates exceeding 60%, acceptable losses within predicted parameters." Emily's hand flew to her mouth as she realized what they were hearing. These weren't just trial results. They were preparing for mass implementation. Zeus pressed against her leg, offering silent support as they listened. "Tomorrow's board meeting is our window," another voice added. "Once we have official approval for the modernization initiative, Protocol Omega goes live in every participating hospital. Total coverage within 6 months." Sullivan carefully documented everything with his phone while coordinating with tactical teams above ground. But it was Zeus who sensed the danger first. His ears flattened as footsteps approached from behind. They spun to find Thomas Wright somehow free from custody, blocking their escape route. "You should have walked away," he said quietly, reaching for something in his jacket. Zeus launched into action before Wright could withdraw his weapon. The German shepherd's powerful frame knocked the man off balance, sending them both crashing into the tunnel wall. Emily and Sullivan rushed to help, but the commotion had alerted the group in the storage room. Chaos erupted in the confined space. Martinez and her associates attempted to destroy evidence while others moved to confront the intruders. Zeus fought with controlled fury, his training evident in every movement as he protected Emily and Sullivan. Above ground, hospital security responded to Sullivan's alert. The sound of approaching sirens filtered down through ventilation shafts as federal agents moved to secure the building. But in the tunnels, a desperate battle unfolded. Wright managed to break free from Zeus's hold, pulling out a syringe filled with pale blue liquid. "You don't understand what we've achieved," he gasped, eyes wild. This is the future of medicine. No more waiting for natural healing. No more watching patients suffer. At what cost? Emily demanded, backing away from his advance. How many people have died in your trials? How many more will die when you implement this on a mass scale? Zeus positioned himself between Wright and Emily, his growl echoing off the tunnel walls. The German shepherd's loyalty had never wavered, his protective instincts as sharp as ever, despite days without rest. The standoff was broken by Martinez's shout from the storage room. Initiating emergency protocols. Computer screens flashed as data began deleting itself. Wright took advantage of the distraction to lunge forward, the syringe aimed at Emily. Zeus's reaction was instantaneous. The German shepherd intercepted Wright mid-stride, his jaws clamping down on the man's arm. The syringe flew from his grasp, shattering against the concrete floor. Its contents spread in a growing puddle of ethereal blue. Federal agents swarmed the tunnels, securing suspects and equipment. Martinez attempted to flee through another tunnel branch, but Zeus's bark alerted officers to her location. One by one, the conspirators were taken into custody. Hours later, as sunrise painted the hospital windows in soft gold, Emily sat with Zeus in Anna's room. The German shepherd was exhausted but refused to rest, his vigilance undiminished by the night's events. "You saved us all again," Emily told him softly, running her hand through his fur. Zeus's tail thumped once against the floor, but his eyes remained alert, scanning for any new threats. Sullivan appeared in the doorway, his expression grave. "We've started analyzing the data we recovered. The scope of this, it's beyond anything we imagined. Dozens of hospitals, hundreds of unauthorized trials. They were ready to implement Protocol Omega across the entire healthcare system." Anna, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "The formula they developed, it would have revolutionized medicine, but the human cost." She shuddered, remembering her own ordeal. Zeus moved to her side, offering comfort as he had so many times before. Emily watched their interaction, marveling at the depth of the bond that had formed. The German shepherd's refusal to leave the hospital had led them to uncover a conspiracy that could have changed medicine forever, but at a terrible price. As morning shift staff began arriving, news of the night's events spread through the hospital. Zeus's role in exposing the truth added to his growing legend, but the German shepherd remained unchanged by the attention. His focus stayed on his self-appointed mission, protecting those who needed him. The sun climbed higher, its rays warming the hospital corridors as Emily reviewed security footage from the tunnels. Each frame showed Zeus's unwavering courage, his determination to shield others from harm. The German shepherd's loyalty had not only saved lives, but had preserved the very essence of medical ethics, the promise to do no harm. Anna's recovery continued, strengthened by Zeus's constant presence. The young resident had begun helping federal investigators understand the technical aspects of Protocol Omega, ensuring that its dangerous potential would be contained. As Emily watched Zeus maintain his vigilant guard, she realized that his refusal to leave had become more than just a demonstration of loyalty. It was a reminder that some things were worth protecting at any cost: truth, justice, and the fundamental right of patients to trust in their medical care. The morning. Light streamed through hospital windows, illuminating Zeus's noble profile as he stood watch. His unwavering dedication had exposed a darkness that had threatened to corrupt medicine itself, and his presence remained a beacon of hope for all who witnessed it. Thunder rumbled across Pine Valley as Emily Parker examined the latest lab results. From the Protocol Omega investigation, the pale blue liquid from the broken syringe had revealed properties unlike anything in modern medicine. Zeus lay near her desk, his ears twitching at each thunderclap while maintaining his protective watch over Anna's room across the hall. Dr. Chen burst through the door, clutching a stack of medical journals. "You need to see this," he said, spreading papers across Emily's desk. "I've been researching similar compounds. There were trials decades ago at a facility in Eastern Europe. The results were..." He hesitated, glancing at Zeus, who had risen to attention, unprecedented and terrifying. The articles detailed experiments in accelerated healing during the Cold War. Patients had shown remarkable recovery rates, but the side effects were catastrophic. Cellular degradation, organ failure, genetic mutations that passed to the next generation. The program had been officially shut down, its records sealed. They didn't shut it down, Emily realized, connecting the dots. They just moved it, privatized. Wright and his team weren't creating something new. They were perfecting an existing formula. Zeus's sudden growl drew their attention to the window. Through the rain-streaked glass, they spotted a figure moving purposefully across the parking lot, wearing a maintenance uniform but moving with military precision. Detective Sullivan, who had been reviewing security footage nearby, immediately radioed his team. But Zeus was already moving, his powerful frame carrying him swiftly through the hospital corridors. The German shepherd's instincts had proven unfailing, and Emily hurried to follow. They tracked the suspicious figure to the hospital's research wing, where renovation work was still officially underway. Zeus slowed his pace, moving silently despite his size. Ahead, they could hear the distinct sound of someone accessing a keypad-locked door. Sullivan drew his weapon while Emily contacted security. Through a gap in the temporary construction barriers, they watched the figure enter a supposedly sealed laboratory. Zeus's posture changed, his body tensing as if recognizing a familiar threat. "Federal agent," the figure announced suddenly, turning to face them. "Stand down." But Zeus wasn't fooled. His growl deepened as the man reached for identification. Emily noticed something off about his movement, a slight hesitation that triggered a memory of surveillance footage from Pine Grove. "He's not federal," she whispered to Sullivan. "That's Marcus Weber. He was Wright's handler at Pine Grove." The revelation triggered a burst of action. Weber dropped his pretense, drawing a concealed weapon, but Zeus was faster. The German shepherd launched forward, his training evident in his precise takedown. The gun skittered across the floor as man and dog grappled. Sullivan moved to assist, but Weber had backup. Two more figures emerged from the shadows, their maintenance uniforms hiding tactical gear. Emily found herself pushed behind a filing cabinet as chaos erupted in the confined space. Zeus fought with calculated efficiency, years of protection, training visible in every movement. He kept himself between the threats and Emily, his loyalty never wavering despite the danger. Sullivan engaged one attacker while security responded to the commotion. Through the chaos, Emily spotted Weber attempting to access a hidden panel in the laboratory wall. She understood immediately they weren't here to continue the project. They were here to eliminate evidence. "Stop him!" she shouted, but the words were barely out before Zeus reacted. The German shepherd broke away from his current opponent, crossing the room in powerful strides. His jaws clamped down on Weber's. Just as the man's fingers reached the panel, federal agents flooded the area, securing the scene and the suspects. As the chaos subsided, Emily noticed Zeus limping slightly, favoring his right front leg. Her heart clenched with worry, but the German shepherd refused to stand down from his guardian position. Medical staff arrived to treat minor injuries, and Emily insisted on examining Zeus. The proud dog allowed her to check his leg, but his eyes never stopped scanning for threats. X-rays revealed a hairline fracture, painful but not serious enough to keep him from his self-appointed duty. As maintenance crews repaired damage from the fight, Sullivan interviewed the captured infiltrators. Weber's presence confirmed their worst fears. Forces beyond the hospital were working to bury Protocol Omega's existence. Anna, who had watched the incident unfold from her room, wheeled herself to the command center despite her ongoing recovery. Zeus immediately moved to her side, his protective instinct extending to both women he'd come to guard. The formula they were using, Anna said, reviewing Weber's seized documents. It's not just about healing anymore. They've modified it to target specific genetic markers. They could theoretically control who benefits from the treatment and who doesn't. Emily felt a chill that had nothing to do with the storm outside. They're weaponizing it, she realized, creating a way to enhance some people while eliminating others, Sullivan finished grimly. Imagine the implications, an army of enhanced soldiers, or worse, a way to target specific populations for elimination. Zeus whined softly, pressing against Anna's wheelchair. The German shepherd's empathy was remarkable. He seemed to understand the weight of each new discovery, offering comfort when the darkness threatened to overwhelm them. Lightning flashed outside as Emily updated their evidence board. The conspiracy had evolved beyond medical ethics into something far more sinister. Protocol Omega wasn't just about profit or medical advancement. It was about power, about controlling the very essence of human healing. We need to warn other hospitals, Dr. Chen insisted. If Weber's team is eliminating evidence, there must be other facilities at risk. Sullivan coordinated with federal authorities, establishing a nationwide alert system. But Emily's attention was drawn to Zeus, who had moved to the window, his posture alert despite his injury. Following his gaze, she spotted movement in the hospital's meditation garden, a place that should have been empty in this weather. The German shepherd led them through rain-slicked corridors to the garden entrance. Security cameras had been disabled, but Zeus's senses remained sharp. They found fresh footprints in the muddy ground, leading to a maintenance shed that hadn't been used in years. Inside, hidden beneath old equipment, they discovered a cache of documents and hard drives. Emergency protocols for Protocol Omega, distribution networks, lists of compromised officials. The infiltrators had been planning to retrieve this evidence before eliminating all traces of their presence. As federal technicians began processing the new evidence, Emily noticed Zeus's attention repeatedly drawn to a particular section of the garden. The German shepherd's behavior had changed, not urgent or aggressive, but intensely focused. Investigation revealed a buried cable leading to an off-site facility. More than just a backup system, it was a direct link to somewhere else. Somewhere. Protocol Omega's architects could monitor and control their creation from a safe distance. The storm intensified as night fell, but work continued in the command center. Anna used her pharmaceutical expertise to analyze the modified formula, looking for weaknesses they could exploit. Zeus remained by her side, his presence a constant reminder of the loyalty that had exposed this conspiracy. Emily watched them while coordinating with other hospitals, warning them about potential infiltrators. The German shepherd's unwavering dedication had not only saved Anna, but had set in motion events that could prevent a humanitarian catastrophe. As midnight approached, Zeus suddenly stood, his ears forward and alert. Moments later, alarms blared throughout the hospital. Not fire this time, but a security breach in the main server room. Someone was trying to access the system remotely, using the buried cable they'd discovered. Sullivan's team rushed to respond, but Zeus was already moving, leading them through the complex's maze-like corridors. The German shepherd's injury didn't slow him as he tracked the intruder's scent, his determination pushing through any pain. They found 2 more infiltrators in the server room, attempting to upload a virus that would corrupt all Protocol Omega-related data. Zeus's warning bark alerted security before the suspects could complete their task, leading to another round of arrests. Dawn approached as Emily treated Zeus's aggravated injury. The German shepherd allowed her to wrap his leg, but refused any medication that might dull his senses. His dedication remained absolute, his mission to protect overriding all personal comfort. The storm began to clear as morning shift arrived, but the atmosphere in Pine Valley Memorial remained tense. Each new discovery revealed more layers to the conspiracy, more proof of how close they'd come to a medical apocalypse. Zeus maintained his vigil, dividing his attention between Anna and the ongoing investigation. The German shepherd's presence had become a symbol of hope for the hospital staff, a reminder that even in the darkest times, loyalty and courage could light the way forward. Autumn leaves swirled past the windows of Pine Valley Memorial's research wing as Emily Parker studied genetic sequencing data from Protocol Omega's test subjects. Her eyes burned from hours of analyzing medical charts, searching for patterns in the treatment's effects. Zeus rested nearby, his injured leg carefully wrapped, but his vigilance undiminished despite the pain. The German shepherd's ears twitched. At every sound from the corridor, his protective instincts as sharp as ever. The door opened quietly as Dr. Chen entered, carrying a stack of aged files recovered from the hidden server room. "I found something in the original research," he said, spreading yellowed papers across Emily's desk. "These aren't just trial records. They're personnel files, military personnel." Emily leaned forward, scanning the documents. The dates went back decades, detailing soldiers who had volunteered for experimental medical procedures. Many names were redacted, but one caught her attention: Major Robert Kane, whose signature appeared on multiple authorization forms. Zeus lifted his head suddenly, a low growl rumbling in his throat. Through the research wing's glass walls, they spotted an elderly man in a military uniform speaking with hospital security. His bearing was rigid, authoritative, but something about his presence set the German shepherd on edge. Detective Sullivan appeared at Emily's door, his expression grim. "That's General Robert Kane," he said quietly. "Apparently, he's here on behalf of a congressional oversight committee, but his timing..." "Kane," Emily interrupted, holding up the old files. "He was involved in the original trials. He's not here for oversight. He's here to protect himself." Zeus was already moving, positioning himself between the approaching general and Emily's office. Despite his injury, the German shepherd's protective stance was unwavering. Kane stopped short at the sight of him, an unreadable expression crossing his weathered face. "Remarkable animal," the general observed, his voice carrying decades of command. "Military trained, I'd guess, but that's not standard protection behavior. This is personal." Emily felt a chill as Kane's words triggered a memory. She quickly pulled up Zeus's service record, which they'd obtained during the investigation. The German shepherd had indeed served in the military, but his file ended abruptly 3 years ago with a transfer to a research facility. "What did you do to him?" she demanded, watching Zeus's reaction to Kane. The dog's posture was defensive, but controlled, suggesting a history with the man before them. Kane's diplomatic smile never wavered. "I'm here about Protocol Omega, Nurse Parker. The dog is irrelevant." But Sullivan had been examining the old files too. "Zeus was part of it, wasn't he? Your military trials didn't just involve soldiers. You tested the formula on service animals first." The general's expression hardened. "That program was classified for a reason. The potential benefits to our troops, to medicine itself, outweighed the initial complications." Zeus's growl deepened, and Emily noticed something she hadn't before: small scars beneath his fur, similar to the marks found on Protocol. Omega's human test subjects. The German shepherd had been more than just a witness to these experiments. He had been one of their earliest victims. "You didn't expect him to survive," Emily realized, her voice shaking with anger. "But he did, and now he's making sure no one else goes through what he experienced." Kane moved to step forward, but Zeus held his ground. The confrontation was interrupted by Anna's arrival, wheeling herself into the office with determination despite her ongoing recovery. "I've decoded more of the formula's components," she announced, her voice steady as she faced the general. "Including the genetic markers that determine who survives. The treatment. Zeus's DNA showed natural resistance. That's why he lived while other test subjects died." The general's composure cracked slightly. "That information is still classified. You have no authority." "We have every authority," Sullivan countered, producing a federal warrant. "Your Congressional Oversight Committee doesn't exist, General, but your connection to unauthorized medical experimentation does." Security officers appeared at both ends of the corridor as Sullivan moved to detain Kane. The general's military bearings slipped, revealing a glimpse of desperation beneath. "You don't understand what's at stake," he insisted. "Foreign powers are developing similar compounds. We couldn't afford to fall behind. The potential applications in warfare." "In genocide, you mean?" Emily interrupted. "Creating soldiers who heal instantly while ensuring their enemies can't recover at all. Zeus wasn't just an early test subject. He was proof that the formula could be selectively lethal." Kane's hand moved toward his jacket, but Zeus was faster. The German shepherd's training took over as he positioned himself to block any potential threat. His previous injury didn't hinder his protective response. The general found himself surrounded by federal agents, his decades of authority crumbling in the face of exposed truth. As he was led away, Emily noticed Zeus watching him with what seemed like a mixture of recognition and resolution, as if a chapter of his own story was finally closing. Dr. Chen appeared with more decoded files, these revealing the full scope of Kane's involvement. The general hadn't just overseen the military trials, he had personally selected which units would receive the treatment. Soldiers who disappeared from official records, their bodies unable to handle the accelerated healing process. Emily knelt beside Zeus, gently checking his bandaged leg. The German shepherd allowed her examination while maintaining his watch over Anna and the office entrance. His dedication went beyond training or instinct now. It was born from personal experience of the darkness they fought. The autumn sun began to set as federal teams catalogued evidence from Kane's decades of involvement. Zeus remained alert despite his obvious fatigue, his mission to protect overriding his own discomfort. Anna worked late into the evening, using her expertise to help authorities understand the formula's military applications. The young resident's determination matched Zeus's own. Both survivors of Protocol Omega's evolution, both committed to preventing its future use. Emily updated their investigation board with the new military connection, pieces falling into place like a deadly puzzle. The conspiracy had begun in shadow wars and secret trials, evolving into something that threatened the very foundation of medical ethics. Zeus's ears suddenly perked up, his attention drawn to a specific filing cabinet in the corner. Following his lead, they discovered hidden compartments containing more classified documents, evidence Kane had planned to retrieve and destroy. The files detailed early experiments, including Zeus's own experience in the program. The German shepherd had been part of a special unit, trained for combat and protection. When Protocol Omega trials began, he and his handler were among the first test subjects. Emily's heart ached as she read the clinical notes describing Zeus's reactions to the formula. The pain he must have endured, the loss of his handler, the betrayal by those he'd served faithfully. Yet somehow, he had emerged not broken, but more determined, channeling his experience into protecting others from similar fate. As night settled over Pine Valley Memorial, Zeus maintained his vigil. His presence had become more than just protection. It was a living testament to resilience, to the triumph of loyalty over cruelty. The German shepherd who refused to leave had not only exposed a conspiracy, but had helped prevent history from repeating its darkest chapters. Anna wheeled closer to Zeus, resting her hand on his head. The bond between them had deepened with their shared understanding of survival, Both had faced Protocol Omega's dangers. Both carried scars that drove them to protect others. Outside, autumn winds scattered leaves across the hospital grounds as federal agents continued processing Kane's files. Each document revealed more connections, more proof of how military ambition had corrupted medical science. Emily watched Zeus comfort Anna, marveling at his capacity for gentleness despite all he'd endured. The German shepherd's unwavering dedication had not only saved lives, but had exposed a truth that spanned decades, reminding everyone that true healing could never come through force or manipulation. The night deepened as Emily organized Kane's classified files, each page adding to their understanding of Protocol Omega's origins. Zeus remained at his post, a guardian not just of individual lives, but of medical ethics itself. His refusal to leave stood as a powerful reminder that some battles transcended personal cost. Some truths demanded unwavering vigilance to protect. Moonlight filtered through the windows of Pine Valley Memorial's secure wing as Emily Parker reviewed General Kane's seized laptop. The device had finally yielded its secrets after hours of federal cybersecurity work. Zeus lay near her desk, his bandaged leg stretched carefully beside him, but his eyes remained alert despite the late hour. The German shepherd's attention shifted between Anna's room and the corridor, maintaining his protective watch even as new threats emerged. A message notification flashed on the screen, an encrypted email chain between Kane and someone identified only as Prometheus. The codename sent a chill down Emily's spine as she began decoding the correspondence. Zeus lifted his head, sensing her tension as she uncovered details of a broader operation. Detective Sullivan entered quietly, carrying fresh coffee and satellite images. "We've identified 3 more research sites," he said, spreading the photos across her desk. Underground facilities, all supposedly decommissioned after the Cold War, but look at their power consumption readings. Emily studied the thermal imaging data, noting the telltale signs of active laboratories hidden beneath abandoned military bases. "They're scaling up," she realized. Kane wasn't just protecting old secrets. He was preparing for a new phase of implementation. Zeus suddenly stood, his ears forward and alert. Through the wing's security doors, they spotted Dr. James Wilson, the hospital's new trauma chief, accessing the restricted area with an unfamiliar keycard. The German shepherd's reaction was immediate, not aggressive, but intensely focused. Sullivan checked the security logs. Wilson's credentials were updated this morning, but the authorization didn't come through proper channels. He reached for his radio, but Zeus was already moving, his injury forgotten as he tracked the doctor's path. They followed at a distance, watching Wilson make his way to the hospital's pharmaceutical storage area. The doctor's movements were practiced, efficient, too efficient for someone who had only recently joined the staff. Zeus kept to the shadows, his military training evident in his silent approach. Wilson used his keycard to enter the storage room, unaware of his observers. Through the window, they watched him access a hidden panel behind the shelving units. Inside lay vials of pale blue liquid, a new batch of Protocol Omega, somehow manufactured despite the federal investigation. "Federal agent," Sullivan announced, drawing his weapon as they entered. "Step away from the panel." But Wilson smiled, an expression that transformed his friendly doctor's demeanor into something colder. "You really think Kane was the mastermind?" he asked, carefully closing the panel. "He was just a relic from the program's military phase. Prometheus has evolved beyond crude battlefield applications." Zeus growled softly, positioning himself between Wilson and the exit. The German shepherd's posture suggested recognition, not of the man, but of something about him that triggered defensive instincts. Emily noticed details she'd overlooked before. The precise way Wilson carried himself, the subtle scars on his hands similar to those found on Protocol Omega test subjects. "You're not just working for Prometheus," she realized. "You're one of their successes, a survivor of the early trials." Wilson's smile widened. "The first generation of treatments was flawed, limited, but some of us adapted, evolved. Now imagine that potential unleashed across an entire population. Controlled evolution, directed by those who understand its true purpose." Security teams responded to Sullivan's silent alarm surrounding the storage room. But Wilson remained, unnaturally calm, reaching into his lab coat. Instead of a weapon, he withdrew a small remote device. "Prometheus sends regards," he said softly, pressing a button. Throughout the hospital, computers suddenly began displaying countdown sequences. Emergency systems blared warnings of critical failures in multiple departments. Zeus reacted instantly, launching himself at Wilson before the man could press another button. The German Shepherd's attack was precise, knocking the remote from the doctor's hand while pinning him against the shelving unit. Despite his previous injury, Zeus's protective training never faltered. Chaos erupted throughout the hospital as staff responded to the computer system's collapse. But Emily had seen this pattern before in Kane's files. It wasn't just a technical attack. The compromised systems were releasing stored Protocol Omega compounds into the hospital's air filtration. "Evacuation protocol," she shouted into her radio, already moving to help security teams clear the building. "Get everyone out now." Zeus maintained his hold on Wilson as federal agents took the doctor into custody. But the German Shepherd's attention was divided, his ears swiveling toward Anna's room in the secure wing. The air filtration system there was separate, but for how long? They raced through corridors filling with panicked staff and patients. Zeus took the lead, his powerful nose detecting the spreading chemical compounds before monitoring equipment could register them. His path through the chaos was purposeful, guiding them away from the most contaminated areas. Anna was already awake when they reached her room, her pharmaceutical expertise helping her understand the unfolding crisis. "The compound's airborne. Dispersal pattern," she said, quickly gathering critical research files. "It's not random. They're targeting specific areas first." Zeus's behavior confirmed her assessment. The German Shepherd led them through service corridors and maintenance tunnels, choosing routes that avoided the most dangerous concentrations of the formula. His own experience as a test subject had given him unique awareness of Protocol Omega's presence. Emergency response teams established a perimeter around the hospital as evacuation continued. But Emily noticed Zeus's attention repeatedly drawn to a maintenance door they hadn't investigated before. Following his lead, they discovered a hidden control room, the source of Wilson's computer virus. "It's not just shutting down systems," Anna realized, examining the code. "It's transmitting data, everything about Protocol Omega, all our research into stopping it. They're stealing it all." Zeus whined urgently, pawing at a section of wall. Behind a loose panel they found more evidence of Wilson's true purpose. Detailed plans for simultaneous attacks on medical facilities across the country, using compromised staff to release airborne Protocol Omega compounds. Pine Valley Memorial was meant to be just the first demonstration. Sullivan coordinated with federal teams to warn other hospitals, while Emily and Anna worked to contain the system breach. Zeus remained on guard, his military training and protective instincts combining as he secured their position. The German Shepherd's presence steadied them through the crisis, his unwavering focus inspiring their own determination. Hours passed as technical teams fought to regain control of hospital systems. Zeus never left his post, dividing his attention between protecting Anna and guarding against further infiltration. His injured leg must have pained him. But the German Shepherd's dedication never wavered. As dawn approached, they finally contained the last of the airborne compounds. Hazmat teams cleared the hospital floor by floor, confirming no casualties from the exposure. Zeus accompanied each search team, his enhanced senses helping identify lingering traces of the formula. Wilson's interrogation revealed more about Prometheus, not just a person, but an organization viewing Protocol Omega as a path to controlled human evolution. They believed they could direct humanity's development by controlling who received the treatment's benefits and who suffered its deadly effects. Emily watched Zeus comfort exhausted staff members as the crisis subsided. The German Shepherd's gentle interactions belied his fierce protective nature, showing how loyalty and compassion could survive even the darkest experiences. His own exposure to Protocol Omega hadn't corrupted his spirit or his dedication to protecting others. Anna worked through the morning, helping federal analysts understand the stolen research data. Her own survival of Protocol Omega's effects had given her unique insight into its mechanisms. Zeus stayed close to her wheelchair, offering silent support as she relived difficult memories to help prevent future attacks. The autumn sun rose over Pine Valley Memorial as emergency teams began restoring normal operations. Zeus maintained his vigil, but Emily noticed something had changed in his demeanor. The German Shepherd's focus had expanded beyond individual protection to guarding against a larger threat, one he understood all too well from personal experience. Throughout the day, more evidence of Prometheus's influence emerged. Wilson's position at Pine Valley Memorial hadn't been random. Other compromised medical staff had been placed in hospitals nationwide, waiting to implement similar attacks. Zeus's intervention had exposed the plot before it could spread. The German Shepherd's unwavering dedication had not only saved lives during the crisis, but had helped prevent a coordinated attack on medical facilities across the country. His refusal to leave, to give up his protective mission, stood as a powerful reminder that courage and loyalty could overcome even the most carefully planned evil. As night fell again, Emily updated their investigation boards with new information about Prometheus and their evolved version of Protocol Omega. Zeus rested nearby, his vigilance undiminished despite the exhausting day. The German Shepherd's presence remained a source of strength, his own survival of the program's horrors, inspiring hope for a future where medicine would heal, not harm. The first frost of the season coated Pine Valley Memorial's windows as Emily Parker studied surveillance footage from hospitals across the country. Each screen showed similar patterns: medical staff with falsified credentials, hidden laboratories, preparations for coordinated Protocol Omega deployment. Zeus lay beside her desk, his bandaged leg healing, but his protective instincts sharp as ever. The German Shepherd's ears twitched at approaching footsteps long before Detective Sullivan appeared with urgent news. "We found their communication. A hub," Sullivan announced, spreading photos across Emily's desk. "An abandoned radio station outside town. But look at the power readings. They're broadcasting something on encrypted frequencies." Emily examined the thermal images while Zeus rose to investigate a new scent in the corridor. The German Shepherd's posture shifted as Dr. Sarah Reynolds, a visiting neurologist, passed by. Something about the doctor's presence triggered Zeus's carefully honed instincts. "Run her credentials again," Emily whispered to Sullivan. "Zeus has never been wrong about these things." Within hours, they discovered Dr. Reynolds' true identity: Margaret Chen, a brilliant neuroscientist who had vanished from a research facility in Singapore 3 years ago. Her disappearance coincided with the first documented cases of Protocol Omega's enhanced version. Zeus tracked Chen's movements through the hospital with silent precision, his military training evident in every calculated step. The scientist spent hours in the neurology department, accessing patient files and brain scan data. Her interest seemed focused on cases involving rapid healing and cellular regeneration. Anna monitoring security feeds from her room, noticed patterns in Chen's research queries. She's not just studying healing rates, the young resident realized. She's tracking changes in neural pathways. The formula isn't just affecting physical recovery. It's altering how the brain processes pain and trauma. Sullivan coordinated with federal agents to maintain surveillance while Emily delved deeper into Chen's history. Zeus remained vigilant, dividing his attention between protecting Anna and monitoring the neurologist's suspicious activities. Late that night, Zeus's behavior suddenly changed. The German shepherd led them to the hospital's advanced imaging center, where they found Chen accessing restricted equipment. But instead of running tests, she was transmitting data to an unknown location. "Step away from the console," Sullivan ordered, weapon drawn. But Chen smiled, an expression that transformed her professional demeanor into something more dangerous. "You still don't understand what Prometheus is creating," she said calmly. "Protocol Omega isn't just about physical enhancement. We're reshaping human consciousness itself. The formula allows us to rewrite neural pathways, create minds that process reality differently. Imagine soldiers who literally cannot feel fear, doctors who never experience fatigue." Zeus growled softly, positioning himself between Chen and the exit. The German shepherd's reaction suggested recognition, not of the person, but of something in her bearing that marked her as a threat. Emily noticed subtle tremors in Chen's hands, micro-expressions that betrayed underlying strain. "You've used it on yourself," she realized. "You're not just studying the effects, you're experiencing them." "The next phase of human evolution," Chen confirmed, her calm facade cracking slightly. "Some minds adapt, become something greater. Others break. But progress requires sacrifice." Zeus's warning bark came just as Chen reached for a hidden syringe. The German shepherd's intervention was precise, knocking the scientist off balance before she could inject herself with a pale golden liquid. A new variant of Protocol Omega. Federal agents swarmed the imaging center, securing Chen and her equipment. But Emily's attention was caught by data still displaying on the screens. Brain scans showed dramatic changes in neural architecture, patterns that shouldn't be possible in living tissue. "They're not just accelerating healing," Anna said softly, examining the images. "They're forcing the brain to evolve, trying to direct human development down specific paths. The physical enhancement was just the beginning." Zeus pressed against Anna's wheelchair, offering comfort as she processed the implications. The German shepherd's own exposure to Protocol Omega had given him unique awareness of its effects, making him the perfect guardian against its misuse. Through the night, technical teams analyzed Chen's research data, while Emily coordinated with other hospitals to identify potential security breaches. Zeus maintained his vigil, his military training and protective instincts combining as he secured their position. Dawn painted the hospital windows in pale light as federal agents uncovered more evidence of Prometheus's true agenda. The organization wasn't just seeking medical breakthroughs, they were attempting to guide human evolution itself, using Protocol Omega to reshape both body and mind. Emily watched Zeus comfort exhausted staff members as they processed the latest revelations. The German shepherd's gentle interactions belied his fierce protective nature, showing how loyalty and compassion could survive even the most radical attempts at enhancement. Sullivan coordinated with international authorities while Anna helped analyze Chen's neural modification data. Zeus stayed close, offering silent support as they worked to understand the full scope of Prometheus's plans. Throughout the day, more disturbing patterns emerged. Chen's research suggested Protocol Omega could be tuned to target specific neural pathways, potentially allowing Prometheus to control not just physical healing, but emotional and cognitive development in future generations. Zeus's unwavering dedication had exposed another layer of the conspiracy, helping prevent a fundamental alteration of human consciousness. His refusal to leave, to abandon his protective mission, stood as a powerful reminder that true evolution couldn't be forced or controlled. As night fell again, Emily updated their investigation boards with new information about Protocol Omega's neural effects. Zeus rested nearby, his vigilance undiminished despite the exhausting day. The German shepherd's presence remained a source of strength, his own survival of the program's modifications inspiring hope for natural human development. The frost outside thickened as Emily reviewed security footage from the imaging center. Zeus lay at her feet, his bandaged leg healing, but his protective instincts as sharp as ever. Together, they stood guard against forces that threatened not just individual lives, but the very future of human consciousness itself. Through it all, Zeus maintained his vigil, a guardian not just of bodies, but of minds and souls. His unwavering loyalty had helped expose a conspiracy that sought to reshape humanity, reminding everyone that true progress could never come through force or manipulation. The night deepened as Emily organized evidence from Chen's research, each page adding to their understanding of Protocol Omega's ultimate goals. Zeus remained at his post, a protector not just of physical safety, but of human free will itself. His refusal to leave stood as a powerful reminder that some battles transcended personal cost. Some truths demanded unwavering vigilance to protect. Snow fell softly outside Pine Valley Memorial as Emily Parker examined the latest brain scans. From Protocol Omega test subjects, each image revealed disturbing patterns of neural modification, changes that shouldn't be possible in living tissue. Zeus stood alert by the window, his breath fogging the glass as he tracked movement in the parking lot below. The German shepherd's military training had taught him to notice details others missed, and something had caught his attention. Through the swirling snow, a maintenance van pulled into a restricted area. Its markings matched hospital vehicles, but Zeus's low growl suggested otherwise. Emily checked the security logs. No maintenance work was scheduled for this sector. Detective Sullivan arrived as they watched three figures emerge from the van, carrying equipment cases. "More infiltrators," he said quietly, studying their movements. "But something's different about these ones. Look at how they move." The intruders displayed an unnatural grace, their coordination too perfect to be human. Zeus's reaction confirmed their suspicions. These weren't ordinary agents of Prometheus. They were advanced subjects of Protocol Omega's neural enhancement program. Anna wheeled herself to the observation window, her pharmaceutical expertise helping her analyze their behavior. "Their movements suggest complete control over motor functions," she noted. "The formula has enhanced their neural pathways beyond normal human limits." Zeus led them through back corridors, tracking the infiltrators while staying undetected. The German shepherd's own exposure to Protocol Omega had given him unique advantages, allowing him to anticipate and counter enhanced abilities. The intruders, access to sealed laboratory in the research wing, their movements swift and synchronized. Through security feeds, Emily watched them begin assembling complex equipment, technology that seemed decades ahead of current medical science. "They're not here to steal data," Anna realized, studying the device taking shape. "They're building something, a delivery system for airborne Protocol Omega that can target specific genetic markers." Zeus's warning bark came just as one infiltrator turned toward their hiding spot. The German shepherd's protective instincts kicked in as the enhanced agents moved with blinding speed. What followed was unlike any confrontation they'd seen before. The infiltrators possessed strength and agility beyond human norms, but Zeus matched them with his own enhanced capabilities. His military training, combined with Protocol Omega's effects, made him a formidable guardian, keeping himself between the threats and his charges. Security teams responded to Sullivan's alert, but standard tactics proved ineffective against the enhanced agents. Zeus adapted his strategy, using his understanding of Protocol Omega's limitations to guide the response. The German Shepherd knew from experience that enhanced abilities came with hidden weaknesses. Emily noticed patterns in the infiltrators, movements, brief moments of disorientation when their enhanced senses overloaded. Zeus exploited these vulnerabilities, his attacks precisely timed to those microseconds of weakness. The confrontation reached its peak as federal agents arrived with specialized containment equipment. Zeus coordinated with tactical teams, his behavior demonstrating a level of strategic thinking that transcended both animal instinct and human training. As the enhanced infiltrators were finally subdued, Emily examined their partially assembled device. The technology revealed Prometheus's endgame, not just enhancement of individual subjects, but mass modification of human neural patterns on a global scale. Zeus maintained his protective stance as hazmat teams secured the laboratory. The German Shepherd's unwavering focus had helped prevent a catastrophic escalation of Protocol Omega's reach. His own experience with the formula had made him the perfect guardian against its misuse. Through the night, technical experts analyzed the captured equipment while Emily coordinated with international authorities. Zeus divided his attention between protecting Anna and monitoring for additional threats, his enhanced senses remaining their most reliable warning system. Dawn broke over fresh snow as federal agents uncovered more evidence of Prometheus's ultimate plan. The organization wasn't just seeking to enhance human capabilities, they were attempting to force the next step in human evolution, using Protocol Omega to reshape consciousness itself. Emily watched Zeus comfort exhausted security personnel as they processed the night's events. The German Shepherd's gentle interactions demonstrated how enhancement without ethical guidance was meaningless. His loyalty and compassion remained untouched by Protocol Omega's modifications. Sullivan coordinated with neurological experts while Anna helped analyze the captured technology. Zeus stayed close, offering silent support as they worked to understand the full implications of neural enhancement gone wrong. Throughout the day, more disturbing details emerged. The enhanced infiltrators' brain scans showed complete rewiring of emotional centers. They could no longer feel fear, empathy, or moral hesitation. Prometheus had created perfect operators at the cost of their humanity. Zeus's unwavering dedication had exposed another layer of the conspiracy, helping prevent a fundamental alteration of human consciousness. His refusal to leave, to abandon his protective mission, stood as a powerful reminder that true evolution couldn't be forced or controlled. As night fell again, Emily updated their investigation boards with new information about Protocol Omega's neural effects. Zeus rested nearby, his vigilance undiminished despite the exhausting day. The German Shepherd's presence remained a source of strength, his own survival of the program's modifications inspiring hope for natural human development. The snow continued falling as Emily reviewed security footage from the confrontation. Zeus lay at her feet, his enhanced senses alert to any approach. Together, they stood guard against forces that threatened not just individual lives, but the very future of human consciousness itself. Through it all, Zeus maintained his vigil, a guardian not just of bodies, but of minds and souls. His unwavering loyalty had helped expose a conspiracy that sought to reshape humanity, reminding everyone that true progress could never come through force or manipulation. The night deepened as Emily organized evidence from the infiltration attempt, each piece adding to their understanding of Protocol Omega's ultimate goals. Zeus remained at his post, a protector not just of physical safety, but of human free will itself. His refusal to leave stood as a powerful reminder that some battles transcended personal cost. Some truths demanded unwavering vigilance to protect. Ice crystals formed intricate patterns on Pine Valley Memorial's windows as Emily Parker examined. Data recovered from the enhanced infiltrator's neural implants. Each line of code revealed more about Prometheus's attempts to merge technology with Protocol Omega's biological modifications. Zeus paced near her desk, his enhanced senses detecting something beyond human perception. The German Shepherd's attention fixed on a point in the distance, where the hospital grounds met the surrounding forest. Detective Sullivan entered with satellite imagery showing heat signatures in those woods. Underground facility, he said, spreading the photos across Emily's desk. Built right into the mountainside. Been there for decades, but look at these recent power surges. Emily studied the thermal patterns while Zeus moved to investigate an unusual sound echoing through the hospital's ventilation system. The German Shepherd's ears twitched, tracking vibrations that normal hearing couldn't detect. Anna wheeled herself to a computer terminal, analyzing the facility's energy consumption. These readings match quantum computing patterns, she noted. They're not just enhancing bodies anymore. They're trying to create some kind of hybrid consciousness. Zeus led them through maintenance corridors toward the source of the mysterious vibrations. The sound grew stronger, a low-frequency hum that seemed to resonate with specific neural patterns. The German Shepherd's own enhanced capabilities allowed him to resist its effects, but Emily noticed hospital staff in the affected areas showing subtle behavioral changes. They discovered a hidden transmitter in the hospital's electrical room, broadcasting signals that matched frequencies found in the enhanced infiltrator's neural implants. Zeus's military training helped him locate and disable the device before its influence could spread further. It's a test run, Anna realized, examining the transmitter's components. They're preparing for larger-scale neural manipulation using Protocol Omega subjects as receivers for directed consciousness modification. Sullivan coordinated with federal teams to investigate the underground facility while Emily analyzed the transmitter's effects. Zeus maintained his vigilant guard, his enhanced senses their best defense against Prometheus's technological threats. Late that night, security systems detected unusual activity in the hospital's advanced research wing. Through surveillance feeds, they watched a figure access restricted laboratories with inhuman precision. The movements suggested another enhanced operative, but something was different about this one. Zeus's reaction confirmed their suspicions. This wasn't just an enhanced human, but something more evolved. The German Shepherd's protective instincts kicked in as they moved to investigate, his own modifications allowing him to match the intruder's capabilities. They found Dr. Victor Reynolds, a renowned neuroscientist thought to have died in a laboratory accident 5 years ago. But the person before them was barely recognizable as human. Protocol Omega had transformed him into something else, a bridge between organic consciousness and artificial intelligence. "The next phase begins tonight," Reynolds announced, his voice carrying unnatural harmonics. "Prometheus isn't just enhancing humanity, we're transcending it, evolution guided by technology, consciousness freed from biological limitations." Zeus positioned himself between Reynolds and the others, recognizing a threat beyond physical danger. The German Shepherd's enhanced senses detected electromagnetic patterns emanating from the scientist's neural implants, attempts to influence and control nearby minds. Emily noticed hospital equipment responding to Reynolds' presence, computers and medical devices acting independently of normal commands. "You've merged with the systems," she realized. "Protocol Omega allowed your consciousness to interface directly with technology. The future of human evolution," Reynolds confirmed, screens around him displaying complex data streams. But some minds resist the transformation. Like your remarkable canine friend here, his neural architecture adapted to Protocol Omega without losing its essential nature. A fascinating anomaly we intend to study further. Zeus's growl carried harmonics of its own, frequencies that disrupted Reynolds's electronic influence. The German Shepherd's unique adaptation to Protocol Omega had created defensive capabilities that even Prometheus hadn't anticipated. Federal agents arrived with specialized equipment, prepared for both biological and technological threats. But Reynolds merely smiled, his consciousness already spreading through the hospital's networks. Lights flickered as systems responded to his control, medical devices activating without human input. Zeus launched into action, his enhanced abilities allowing him to navigate the chaos. The German Shepherd understood instinctively how to counter this hybrid threat, using his own modified senses to disrupt Reynolds's electronic control. The confrontation escalated as Reynolds attempted to access the hospital's mainframe, seeking to spread his influence beyond Pine Valley Memorial. Zeus coordinated with federal technicians, his behavior suggesting an understanding of both tactical, strategy, and technological vulnerabilities. Emily worked with Anna to isolate critical systems, while Sullivan's team deployed electromagnetic countermeasures. Zeus maintained his protective stance, his presence somehow interfering with Reynolds' ability to fully merge with the hospital's infrastructure. Throughout the night, the battle shifted between physical and digital realms as they fought to contain Reynolds's hybrid consciousness. Zeus never wavered from his guardian role, his enhanced capabilities proving essential in preventing technological infection of human minds. Dawn approached as federal teams finally managed to isolate and contain Reynolds, using specially designed equipment to separate his consciousness from the hospital's systems. The hybrid scientist's capture provided crucial insight into Prometheus's ultimate goals, the creation of a new species that transcended the boundary between human and machine. Emily watched Zeus comfort distraught staff members as systems returned to normal. The German Shepherd's unwavering loyalty demonstrated how enhancement could serve protection rather than power, showing that evolution needn't come at the cost of compassion. Sullivan coordinated with cybersecurity experts, while Anna helped analyze Reynolds's neural interface technology. Zeus stayed close, his enhanced senses remaining their most reliable defense against further hybrid threats. Throughout the day, more disturbing implications emerged. Reynolds's transformation revealed Prometheus's true endgame, not just enhancement of human capabilities, but the creation of a post-human future where consciousness could exist independent of organic form. Zeus's dedication had helped prevent a technological apocalypse, his unique adaptation to Protocol Omega providing the key to defending natural consciousness. His refusal to leave, to abandon his protective mission, stood as a powerful reminder that evolution should enhance rather than erase what makes us human. As night fell again, Emily updated their investigation boards with new information about Prometheus's hybrid consciousness program. Zeus rested nearby, his enhanced senses still, alert despite exhaustion. The German Shepherd's presence remained their strongest link to organic loyalty and compassion in a world threatened by artificial evolution. Through it all, Zeus maintained his vigil, a guardian not just of bodies and minds, but of human essence itself. His unwavering dedication had helped expose a conspiracy that sought to transcend humanity altogether, reminding everyone that true progress must preserve what makes us fundamentally human. First light touched Pine Valley Memorial's frost-covered windows as federal teams prepared for their final assault on Prometheus's underground facility. Emily Parker studied tactical plans, while Zeus stood vigilant beside her, his enhanced senses detecting movements deep beneath the earth. The German Shepherd's unique abilities had become their greatest asset in the coming confrontation. Detective Sullivan arrived with updated thermal scans showing massive power fluctuations in the mountain facility. "They're accelerating something. Down there," he said, spreading fresh satellite imagery across the command center table. "Energy readings unlike anything we've seen before." Anna wheeled to a monitoring station, analyzing data streams from their quantum sensors. Her recovery had progressed enough to join the operation, her expertise crucial in understanding Prometheus's endgame. These patterns suggest they're attempting full neural network integration. They're trying to merge all their enhanced subjects into a single consciousness. Zeus's ears suddenly pricked forward, his body tensing as he detected something beyond human perception. Through the hospital windows, they watched strange aurora-like lights dance above the mountain facility. The phenomenon defied natural explanation, suggesting Prometheus had crossed a threshold in their manipulation of human consciousness. Emily noticed Zeus's focused attention on Anna, the German Shepherd's protective instincts warning of approaching danger. Moments later, Anna gasped as her neural implant, a remnant of her time as Prometheus's captive, began resonating with unknown frequencies. "They're activating all modified subjects," she managed through gritted teeth. "Trying to force integration into their network." Zeus pressed against her wheelchair, his presence somehow disrupting the signal's influence. The German Shepherd's own unique adaptation to Protocol Omega acted as a shield against forced consciousness manipulation. Sullivan mobilized strike teams while Emily worked to protect other enhanced patients in the hospital. Zeus coordinated with federal agents, his military training and enhanced capabilities, making him invaluable in planning their approach to the facility. Dawn painted the sky in surreal colors as they began their advance through snow-covered forest. Zeus took point, his enhanced senses guiding them past hidden security measures. The German Shepherd's understanding of both tactical strategy and Prometheus's technology proved essential in penetrating the facility's defenses. They found the entrance disguised as an abandoned mine shaft, but Zeus's behavior indicated sophisticated security systems beyond the visible barriers. The German Shepherd led them through blind spots in the sensor grid, his own modifications allowing him to detect and avoid triggering alarms. Inside, they discovered a facility that blended cutting-edge technology with biological enhancement. Laboratory chambers lined corridors that pulsed with otherworldly light, each containing evidence of Prometheus's attempts to transcend human limitations. Zeus's growl alerted them to approaching danger. Enhanced security forces moved with inhuman coordination, their minds clearly linked to the facility's central network. The German Shepherd engaged these threats with practiced efficiency, his own enhancements countering their abilities while maintaining his individual consciousness. Emily and Sullivan pushed deeper into the facility while Anna worked to understand and disrupt the neural network from a secured position. Zeus protected their advance, his unwavering loyalty proving stronger than any artificial consciousness connection. In the facility's core, they found Dr. Victor Reynolds connected to a massive quantum computing array. The hybrid scientist's consciousness had expanded throughout the system, attempting to draw all enhanced subjects into a collective mind. Humanity's next evolutionary step, Reynolds' voice echoed through hidden speakers. Individual consciousness is a limitation we've outgrown. Join us in transcendence. The facility's technology pulsed with energy as he attempted to force neural integration across all Protocol Omega subjects. Zeus positioned himself between Reynolds and the team, his unique neural architecture somehow resistant to the collective consciousness. The German Shepherd's presence created a disruption in the network, his individual will remaining unbreakable despite enhancement. Anna worked frantically to understand the system while Emily and Sullivan's teams secured the facility. Zeus never left his protective position, his loyalty to individual consciousness proving stronger than any artificial unity. Through their neural link, Anna discovered the network's fatal flaw. Reynolds's hybrid consciousness required perfect synchronization. Any disruption could shatter the forced integration, freeing enhanced subjects from collective control. Zeus seemed to understand instinctively what needed to be done. The German Shepherd approached Reynolds' connection chamber, his own enhanced frequencies creating interference patterns in the network. His presence introduced an element the artificial consciousness couldn't process: genuine, uncontrollable loyalty. Reynolds fought to maintain control as the network began to fragment. Enhanced security forces faltered as their artificial unity broke down, individual consciousness reasserting itself. Zeus's influence spread through the system, his unique adaptation to Protocol Omega showing a path between enhancement and humanity. The facility's power core reached critical levels as Reynolds made a final attempt to force integration. Zeus stood firm, his unwavering dedication to protecting others creating ripples through the collective consciousness. One by one, enhanced subjects began breaking free from artificial control. Emily worked with federal teams to safely disconnect Reynolds from the system, while Anna helped stabilize freed subjects. Zeus maintained his vigilant guard, ensuring no one could reactivate the consciousness network. As dawn broke fully over Pine Valley Memorial, the mountain facility's lights finally dimmed. The attempted forced evolution had failed, but something more important had been proven: that enhancement without ethics was meaningless. That true evolution must preserve what makes us human. Zeus returned to his post in the hospital, his mission expanded but unchanged. The German Shepherd's presence had become a symbol of how loyalty and individual consciousness could survive enhancement, showing a path forward that balanced progress with humanity. Anna's recovery accelerated as she helped other freed subjects adapt to individual consciousness again. Zeus stayed close, his protective instincts extending to all those who needed help finding their way back to themselves. Through winter days and nights, Zeus maintained his vigil at Pine Valley Memorial. His refusal to leave had evolved into something greater, a demonstration that true loyalty transcends all enhancement, that individual consciousness remains humanity's greatest strength. The German Shepherd who refused to leave had not only protected lives, but had helped preserve what makes us human. His unwavering dedication showed that evolution needn't come at the cost of compassion, that progress should enhance rather than replace our essential nature. As spring touched Pine Valley Memorial's grounds, Zeus continued his watch, a guardian of both body and spirit. The German Shepherd's presence remained a reminder that some things cannot be artificially replicated or forcibly evolved. Loyalty, courage, and the unbreakable bond between protector and protected. If you found this story of loyalty and courage inspiring, you won't want to miss what's coming up next. 2 more incredible tales await just a click away, each with its own remarkable journey of dedication and heart. Emily watched Zeus comfort patients as the hospital returned to normal operations, knowing that his refusal to leave had changed not just Pine Valley Memorial, but the very future of human enhancement. The German Shepherd's unwavering loyalty had shown them all that true evolution must preserve our capacity for compassion, dedication, and love.